Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good evening and welcome to Spring Global on Western Spring Television. Now the headlines. Osun State House of Assembly denies allegations of bribery and attempted blackmail leveled by Elisha Water Project consultant. Myanmar's military court sentences Suu Kyi to 7 years in prison, taking her overall jail time to 33 years. Russia conducts a massive strike on Ukraine's energy and military industrial infrastructure. My name is Okwayemuni. We now begin in Nigeria, where the Osun State House of Assembly has denied allegations of bribery and attempted blackmail leveled against it by consultant in charge of the Elisha Water Project, Engineer Tawa Williams. Chairman House Committee on Media and Publicity, Kunle Akande, refuted the accusations today while featuring on Morning Spring, a Western Spring Television news and current affairs program. According to the Assembly's spokesman, the allegations were malicious, untrue, and were the figment of Engineer Williams' imaginations, adding that the House will take appropriate steps as resolved during an emergency plenary session yesterday. Engineer Tawa Williams, suspended consultant in charge of the Elisha Water Project, had yesterday accused Chairman Osun Assembly House Committee on Water Resources, Nasiru Olateju, of attempted blackmail and a demand for a $5 million bribe.
And somebody is alleging that the house is asking for $5 million.
The entire project is valued at $106 million.
The specific project we are talking about is $2 million.
Okay.
You know, and it is ridiculous for the house, under whatever guise, to demand for $5 million. $5 million, you are talking of about 7 billion naira. It's unthinkable. And I imagine that she will need to re-examine herself. The house is a house of laws. We have integrity. The particular person whose character is being impugned now is the oldest person in the house. We all respect him because of his integrity. We all adore him. He couldn't have ever raised, you know, he couldn't have made such a ridiculous demand.
Yes. Was it that the amount is the problem now, or there was no demand? Was there a demand?
There couldn't have been. There was no basis for it. She has a penchant. I mean, those of us who have, some of our colleagues have worked with her when she was in the cabinet. She is the blackmailer and not the House of Assembly. The House of Assembly has a responsibility to carry out oversight functions. In the process of carrying out the oversight functions, the House could discover a few things that needed to be amended, a few things that you need to put in more effort, and those are some of the jobs that they went to do there. The Speaker directed that committee to go and do its oversight function. And it was in the process that they found some things that she needed to explain about.
A Myanmar military court has sentenced Aung San Suu Kyi to further 7 years in prison, taking her overall jail time to 33 years. The country's former democratically elected leader has been under house arrest since the military ousted her government in a coup in February 2021. Since then, the 77-year-old Nobel laureate has faced 18 months of trials on 19 charges, which the rights group say are sham. The United Nations Security Council called for her release last week. Today, she was sentenced on the final 5 charges she faced after a court found her guilty of corruption because she had not followed regulations in renting a helicopter for a government minister. She had already been convicted of 14 different crimes, including breaching COVID public safety rules, importing walkie-talkies, and violating the Official Secrets Act. Controversial online influencer Andrew Tate has reportedly been detained in Romania as part of a human trafficking and rape investigation. Mr. Tate, who was detained alongside his brother Tristan, had his house raided in the capital, Bucharest. A lawyer for the brothers confirmed their detention. The former kickboxer rose to fame in 2016 when he was removed from British television show Big Brother over a video which appeared to show him attacking a woman. He went on to gain notoriety online, with Twitter banning him for saying women should bear responsibility for being sexually assaulted. He has since been reinstated. In the United Kingdom, the family of a woman who was shot dead at a bar have described her as the most beautiful and bright star as police continue their hunt for her murderer. 26-year-old Ellie Edwards was killed on Christmas Eve at the Lighthouse Inn in Wallasey village. Detectives have said she was not believed to have been the intended target of the attack. At a news conference today, Detective Superintendent Sue Combs said she was seeking information about a dark-colored Mercedes that was seen in the bar's car park on the night of the shooting. It comes as 2 people arrested in connection with the deadly shooting have been released from the custody of detectives investigating a killing.
We've already spoken to a large number of witnesses and reviewed a vast amount of CCTV footage, and we are pursuing a number of lines of inquiry still. We are committed to finding the persons responsible for Ellie's death and putting them behind bars. These people don't deserve to be walking our streets. They don't deserve to be protected. They belong in prison.
Still in Europe, Russia's defense ministry today said it carried out a massive strike on Ukraine's energy and military industrial infrastructure yesterday using high-precision weapons. It said that the strikes had disrupted the production and repair of military equipment and the movement of reserve troops. While confirming the strike, Ukraine said that it had repelled an overnight drone attack on the country, including on the capital, Kiev, a day after Russia carried out one of the biggest aerial assaults since it started the war in February. It added that a total of 16 Iranian-made Shahid drones were launched from the southeastern and northern directions, and they were all destroyed by Ukraine's air defense. In Kiev, the city authorities announced an air alert which lasted for just over 2 hours and called on residents to proceed to shelters. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko later said the capital was attacked with 7 drones. 2 were shot down on approach and 5 over the city. He added that there were no casualties, but falling debris damaged windows in 2 buildings in the southwestern neighborhood. In the meantime, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he's expecting Chinese President Xi Jinping to make a state visit early next year in what would be a public show of solidarity from Beijing amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In introductory remarks from a video conference between the 2 leaders broadcast on state television, Mr. Putin also said he aims to strengthen military cooperation with China. His statement, which lasted around 8 minutes, highlighted Russia's dramatic pivot away from the Western powers that have ostracized it economically and politically for its actions in Ukraine and given Ukraine weapons. Mr. Putin's remarks contrasted with a far shorter statement from Mr. Xi, who made no mention of a visit to Moscow, according to the official translation into Russian. Turning to Asia, Chinese state media says COVID testing requirements imposed by several places around the world in response to a surging wave of infections are discriminatory. Having kept its borders all but shut for 3 years, imposing strict lockdowns and relentless testing, China abruptly reversed course toward living with the virus on December 7th, and a wave of infections erupted across the country. Some places have been taken aback by the scale of China's outbreak and expressed skepticism over Beijing's COVID statistics, with the United States, South Korea, India, Italy, Japan, and Taiwan imposing COVID tests for travelers from China. In an article, state-run tabloid Global Times said the real intention is to sabotage China's 3 years of COVID-19 control efforts and attack the country's system. Italy yesterday urged the rest of the European Union to follow its lead, but France, Germany, and Portugal have said they saw no need for new travel restrictions, while Austria has stressed the economic benefits of Chinese tourist return to Europe. In the meantime, Indonesia today removed all remaining measures to control the spread of COVID-19 effective immediately, since most of the country's population already has antibodies against the disease. President Joko Widodo told the news conference that the decision was taken based on the latest infection figures. Before the announcement, most mobility restrictions had already been removed for recipients of at least one booster vaccine shot, but authorities still required masks to be worn indoors and use of a COVID tracker app when entering most public places. Mr. Widodo urged Indonesians to remain vigilant against the virus, including continuing to wear a mask indoors and when in a crowd. At one point, Indonesia had Asia's highest rate of infections, but daily cases have fallen to below 1,000 most days in the past week, with hospitalizations and deaths relatively low. You're watching Spring Global on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewe,
And your sports Amazon, Nengi Enes.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Welcome back on Spring Global on Western Spring Television. Now to the rest of our stories. China has appointed Qin Gang, a trusted aide of President Xi Jinping, as its new foreign minister. The 56-year-old and currently China's ambassador to the United States replaces Wang Yi, who has been foreign minister for the past decade. Wang was promoted to the Politburo of the Chinese Communist Party in October and is expected to play a bigger role in foreign policy. Qin served as Mr. Xi's chief protocol officer between 2014 and 2018. Following his appointment, he will return to Beijing from Washington after 17 months as China's 11th ambassador to the United States. A Kabul professor tore up his diplomas live on television in Afghanistan in protest over the Taliban's barring of women from higher education. The man named Ismail Mashal is founder of the private Mashal University in Kabul and also a lecturer at Kabul University. With tears in his eyes and his voice quivering, he ripped up the diplomas during an on-set appearance for the country's Tolo News. He added that the diplomas were for his multiple master's and doctorate degrees and that they were the originals. A clip of his appearance has since gone viral. The Taliban announced on December 20th that university education for all female students had been suspended. This followed the government barring girls from attending secondary school in March this year.
اصلی را پاره میکنم
آقای مشهد حل را فکر کنید
حل به عنوان استاد ما به عنوان استاد این امروز آوردیم به سطح ماستری و دکترا ماستری اینه کامرامینای دوستان بگیرن که استاد مشعل ما می اسناداره این اسنادای اصلی است ما سر از اینم امروز اینمی اسناداره دیگه هیچ به درد من نمیخوره این وطن جای برای تحصیل نیست ما از پانتون میسور ما سند گرفتیم از هند استاد بودم درس دادم امروز وقت خوانم نخوانه مادرم نخوانه درس ما درس قبول ندارم ما دروازه پانتون ای استادم ما اینه پاره میکنم اصلی را پاره میکنم
آقای مشهد حل را
Lawmakers in Laos have overwhelmingly voted into office a new prime minister after the country's former leader stepped down over health concerns. Sonexay Siphandone, Laos's former deputy prime minister, took leadership of a communist nation with 149 of 151 national parliamentary votes. The former prime minister offered his resignation to the National Assembly earlier today, citing health concerns. The reclusive country has been hit by tough economic problems this year, battling fuel shortages and soaring inflation. A Bolivian judge today sentenced key opposition leader Luis Fernando Camacho to 4 months in pre-trial detention following his arrest on charges of terrorism. Judge Sergio Pacheco ordered that the former presidential candidate be held at the maximum security prison in La Paz. Camacho, the right-wing governor of the country's economic powerhouse region of Santa Cruz, was arrested on Wednesday on terrorism charges, including for an alleged role in the resignation of leftist President Evo Morales in 2019. The prosecution had sought 6 months in detention for Camacho, whose arrest sparked clashes between demonstrators and police in the regional capital, Santa Cruz, the most populous city in Bolivia. Camacho had been under investigation for his role in strikes and sometimes violent protests in 2019, prompted by Morales' disputed election to a 4th term. Morales ultimately resigned under pressure after losing the support of the military. Camacho has repeatedly denied having fomented a coup against Morales. In the United States, President Joe Biden has signed a $1.66 trillion funding bill for the government for 2023 fiscal year. In a statement, the White House said Mr. Biden signed the bill, which passed Congress last week, while vacationing on the Caribbean island of St. Croix. The legislation includes record military funding, emergency aid to Ukraine, more aid for students with disabilities, additional funding to protect workers' rights, and more job training resources, as well as more affordable housing and families, veterans, and those fleeing domestic violence. A watchdog is to investigate Twitter after Akka claimed to have private details linked to more than 400 million accounts. The Akka, known as Rushi, is demanding $200,000 to hand over the data reported to include that of some celebrities and delete it. Ireland's Data Protection Commission says it will examine Twitter's compliance with data protection law in relation to that security issue. Twitter has not commented on the claim. Data is said to include phone numbers and emails, including those belonging to celebrities and politicians, but the purported size of all is not confirmed. Only a small sample has so far been made public, and it reportedly included that of U.S. Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and broadcaster Piers Morgan, who recently had his Twitter account hacked. We now move to sports. Tributes are pouring in for late footballing legend Pelé, with FIFA saying he was simply immortal after the Brazil legend named by World Football's governing body as the greatest player of the 20th century died yesterday, aged 82. FIFA President Gianni Infantino said in a statement that for everyone who loves the beautiful game, it was the day they never wanted to come. In a post on Instagram, Brazil forward Neymar said King Pelé changed everything, stating that he gave visibility to Brazil. Other current and former players, including France striker and Neymar's Paris Saint-Germain teammate Kylian Mbappe, Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo, Argentina's Lionel Messi, and former World Cup winning Brazil striker Ronaldo took to social media to pay their respects. Tributes also came in from presidents, including that of the United States, Joe Biden, Brazil President Jair Bolsonaro, who said Pelé turned football into art and joy, and President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Pelé's former club Santos posted a picture of a crown with the word Eternal, arguably the greatest player ever. Pelé is credited with scoring a world record 1,281 goals in 1,363 appearances during a 21-year career, including 77 goals in 92 matches for his country. He was the only player to win the World Cup 3 times, lifting the trophy in 1958, 1962, and 1970. Pelé's burial has been set for Monday and Tuesday, with his body to be laid to rest at his Santos home.
For all those who love football, this is certainly the day that we never wanted to come. We lost Pelé, the king, already, and we feel a void, we feel sad. But actually, we never lose him. We never lost him. He's forever with us. He's forever with everyone who loves football.
Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp has hailed incoming forward Cody Gakpo as a really interesting player and said convincing him to join Liverpool was a home run ahead of his transfer. Gakpo was announced as Liverpool's first signing of the upcoming January transfer window on Wednesday night for a fee between £35 million to £45 million from PSV Eindhoven. The 23-year-old, who was a target for Manchester United in the summer, has been in fine form for club and country this season, scoring 3 times at the World Cup and 9 times in 14 games in the Eredivisie. Speaking publicly about the transfer for the first time, Klopp explained how easy it had been to convince Gakpo to join the club and paid tribute to the Liverpool staff, who had kept the deal quiet.
I think the first 2 questions are, the answer is pretty easy. It's obvious because he's a really, really, really good player. So the package is really interesting. The age is in the potentially shows the quality he showed already in Holland and with the national team as well. So it makes him a really, really interesting player.
Before we end Spring Global, here is a recap of our top stories. The Osun State House of Assembly has denied allegations of bribery and attempted blackmail leveled against it by consultant in charge of the Elisha Water Project, Engineer Tawa Williams. A Myanmar military court has sentenced Aung San Suu Kyi to a further 7 years in prison, taking her overall jail time to 33 years. Russia's defense ministry today said it carried out a massive strike on Ukraine's energy and military industrial infrastructure yesterday using high-precision weapons. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. I am Okoyemioni. Thanks for watching.